Welcome to episode 11 of the Walking Out Your Purpose podcast with yours truly, Alicia Smith, where we focus on you reaching your full potential in all areas of your life through intentional dialogue and putting in the work. Let's get motivated to action so that we draw closer to realizing our life's purpose as women of God, wives, mothers, and businesswomen. Now come on in and eavesdrop on a conversation with me and sometimes a few others as we discuss having faith over fear from the pew to the boardroom and everywhere in between. I'm glad you're here. Let's get to walking out our purpose and accomplishing all that God has for us. Welcome to the show. If this is your first time here, I am so glad to have you. You are in for a special treat as we continue to dive deeper into our purpose in all areas of our lives. Join us every week for a motivating show. If you're already part of the squad, thank you for coming back week after week. Your support is greatly appreciated. Please continue to like and share this with your friends, family, and coworkers. We believe in learning, sharing, and growing over here. Today's show is titled, It's Q4. Let's end the year strong, redeeming the time. Recently, I heard a message that sparked some thought. Are we redeeming the time? Do we realize that our life should be purpose-driven, especially as Christians? We must be maximizers, not wasters of time. 2020 has been very interesting to say the least, wouldn't you say? But I want us to be able to look back on this once we're in the future and say, I redeemed the time well. I focused on my goals. I moved closer to realizing my dreams. I made an investment in myself. I drew closer to God. If that isn't your testimony yet, you still have time. The year isn't over. So do me a favor. Don't let circumstances stop your purpose. As Dr. Orpheus Hayward mentioned in a recent sermon, purpose isn't blocked or limited by circumstances. Accept the new norms and don't make excuses. Now you all know I shouted when I heard that. That is how I approach my daily walk, and that is how you must retrain your mind. Remember, our mindset is critical to us walking out our purpose and redeeming the time Christ has given us on this earth. Think about the Master. He had a mission and was determined to accomplish his Father's will, despite what people said or did to him. He even stayed at the temple as a young boy to prepare for his mission. His parents were looking for him, but he was focused. Are you that focused? Are you that committed? Or are you worrying about what friends or family may say? Well, I'm here to tell you that your purpose and what God has uniquely gifted you to do on this earth only calls for alignment between you and God. You don't need others' approval. Once God makes deposits into you, it's up to you to carry it out in the earth. And trust me, he will bless it. There is no one like our God. He puts his super on our natural, as my husband says. So for those of you who may have gotten off track, and let me tell you, that isn't too far stretched because of 2020, but I want to share a few tips to help you get back on track. Number 1, deny that lethargic spirit. We have got to get up and move with purpose. Let's get re-energized. If necessary, obtain an accountability partner, a prayer partner, or better yet, a purpose partner. Oh, I need to brand that. God doesn't want us to do life alone, and the purpose he has for our life is bigger than what we can imagine. So we'll need others to help us bring it to pass. Realizing what God has created you for is so very important. It should be your priority to discover this so that you can do the will of God. He wants to see us move with some sense of urgency. Doing the will of God reigns supreme, or should reign supreme, over everything else. The beautiful thing about discovering your gifts is that you get a chance to utilize them in all areas of your life, which will lead you to a life full of purpose. Remember, our goal is to wake up every morning determined to please God, not man, in everything we do. We aren't walking around aimlessly. We are moving with intention and purpose. When your potential is fully maximized, it's called purpose, which is the epic idea that motivated your birth. And in order to fulfill your purpose in life, you must dwell in environments that unlock your potential and release the creativity that God has placed inside of you, as author Touré Roberts writes in his book, Purpose Awakening. So get up wherever you are and let's get to work. Number 2, seek God in prayer. A sister recently shared an acronym on our women's devotion call that I love when it comes to our prayers. The acronym is ACTS, ACTS. Adoration, confession, thanksgiving, and supplication. Although God will hear our prayers no matter how put together they are or aren't, I like the structure of this, and it aligns well with how Jesus taught us to pray in the Gospels. Most importantly, let your heart be open to God and allow Him to manifest His Spirit in you. Allow Him to show you your gifts. Once He speaks to you through His Word, through His Spirit, and sometimes through His people, it is time for you to make a move and redeem the time. We still have time in this year. I know it hasn't been the best year if you're listening to this in 2020, but out of pressure comes diamonds. Pray to Abba Father that He gives you strength, endurance, tenacity, stick-to-itness, creativity, ideas, and most of all, energy. And last but not least, step 3. Take one step forward. Just one. Back to my favorite book, Purpose Awakening. It says, the greatest threat to your future is the familiar. Too often people sacrifice their dreams because they are afraid to leave behind what they've always known. The familiar is the often subconscious thought that the predictable is the preferred path and that the recognizable is the best option. Wow. Let that marinate. I challenge you today to step out of your comfort zone, step out of your current circumstance, and get to a place spiritually and mentally, and maybe even physically, if your location is holding you back, to a place where you can dream again, where you can level up your thinking, and most importantly, where you can put in the work to accomplish that which God has called you to do. Remember, whenever God purposes to move you to the next level, it always requires an exodus from a former place of comfort. God's vision is too big for your current surroundings. Stepping into God's land takes the limits off what is possible for your life. It is the perfect staging ground for the discovery of the epic idea that motivated your birth. Y'all, Touré Roberts was not playing when he wrote this book. It's totally blessed my soul, and I encourage you to pick up a copy. As you probably know by now, one of my favorite scriptures is Jeremiah 29:11. And I wholeheartedly believe that God's plans for me and for you are good, and He wants to prosper me and you. God is always up to something good. Another favorite, Romans 8:28. When you all really believe these scriptures, I mean deep down in your soul, your faith will go to another level, and you'll begin to really trust God because you know His intentions are pure. His vision for our lives is so much grander than what we can even imagine or think, as Ephesians 3:20 tells us. So embrace what God has for you. And when you do this, you'll become who He wants you to be. I love the story of Abraham, who God instructed to get out of his country, leave everything. And he did it, y'all. Once he obeyed, God promised him a great nation. Even gave him a name change. and told him that he'd be a blessing to so many. And truthfully, because of him, we are blessed. You can find that in Genesis 12. I am so glad God is writing our story. If we would just obey, follow His instructions, and put our plow to the ground, there is so much in store for us and so much that we can accomplish. Finding your purpose and walking in it isn't just a cliche. It is biblical and so necessary in our pursuit to bring God glory. So in closing, as we enter this fourth quarter of 2020, let's end the year strong. There is no time like the present to discover what God has uniquely designed you to do for Him in every area of your life. Let's make sure we are good children of the Most High and redeem the times. What are you waiting on?
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm today to get started.
All right. Thank you all so much for listening to the show today. I hope you were able to take some good notes and have at least one action you will take to bring you closer to realizing your purpose. Let's get it. We can finish the year out strong. Walking out your purpose requires an unwavering trust in God. So remember, we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. Now go conquer your day and don't let it conquer you. Until next time, peace and blessings.